What's up, you guys? Joe Smith here. Joe Smith wants to shout out all his friends and heroes. Again, this video might be a little controversial, so Joe Smith don't want to mention anyone by name, but Joe Smith has a lot of tool videos, tool video buddies. Joe Smith's got a lot of 2A video buddies. Some of Joe Smith's 2A video buddies might actually like this story, but Joe Smith is going to attempt to do old-fashioned radio show story time here. And if you're offended by it, Joe Smith says sorry. Joe Smith's not trying to piss anyone off, but Joe Smith just kind of giving his thoughts and feelings, and some people like Joe Smith and some people don't. I guess Joe Smith can't be friends with everyone, but Joe Smith wishes he could be friends with everyone. But this is Joe Smith's attempt to do old-fashioned radio show story here. In the 1980s, Randy, a former Iowa factory worker and Army combat engineer, moved his family to northern Idaho. They bought 20 acres and built a cabin in 1983. All was fine until 1984. Randy and a neighbor named Terry Kinson had a dispute over a $3,000 land deal. Randy and Terry took this to court. The courts ordered Terry to pay Randy $3,000 plus an additional $2,100 in court costs and damages. Randy celebrated, of course, but this wouldn't be the last you'd hear from Terry. Terry, in retaliation, wrote letters to the FBI, Secret Service, and county sheriff saying Randy was going to kill the Pope, the President, and the governor of Idaho. That was governor at that time. Terry Kinson told the FBI Randy was a Aryan Nation or KKK member and was stockpiling guns for various attacks against the Pope or President or governor or other KKK activities. The FBI investigated Randy in 1985. But the FBI chose not to file any charges, or had no reason to file any charges. But the FBI didn't drop the investigation at that time like they should have. They kept watching Randy, and in 1986, they had the ATF send in an informant undercover to befriend Randy, and just to act all buddy with Randy or that. And after 3 years of friendship, this ATF undercover agent or informant offered Randy 2 shotguns for sale. The shotguns were cut just mere millimeters too short, and therefore classified as a sawed-off shotgun or short-barrel shotgun under the ATF Class 3 Firearms Act or NFA items. But the agent swore up and down to Randy that no, these are legal, these are long enough and all that, and Randy ended up buying them. Well, the FBI and the ATF used that gun buy to end up charging Randy with some firearm charges for not having an FAA Class 3 license. The federal agents decided that, or the federal agents thought it might be too dangerous to just serve a warrant on Randy at his house, so they posed as, because Randy had a few guns in his house, so they decided to pose as stranded motorists, broke down motorists, a mile or so down the road from Randy's house going into town. Well, Randy and his wife Vicky, being from Iowa, they stopped to help the stranded motorists because that's what Iowans do. Then FBI or ATF agents posing as the stranded motorists then pulled guns on Randy and his wife Vicky, arrested them, took them into custody. There's a court date trial well, Randy and his wife Vicky later would soon bond out, of course, and a court date was set. Randy didn't show to the court date on these fraudulent gun charges, so a warrant was issued on February 19th, 1991. August 21st, 1992, U.S. Marshals served an arrest warrant at Randy's house. A shootout broke out, and Randy's 14-year-old son Samuel and his dog Striker, as well as U.S. Marshal agent named William Francis Deegan, were all killed during this shootout. The next day, Randy's wife Vicky was shot and killed by an FBI sniper. Randy and his friend Kevin surrendered after 11 days standoff. They were both later acquitted of all charges except for Randy and his original failure to appear and bail charges for not showing up to the original court trial. Of course, Randy served like 18 months in jail and paid $10,000 fine for those charges and then was released. Randy and Kevin both brought civil suits. Randy and his family would go on to win $3.1 million in August of 1995, and Kevin, after several appeals, would win $380,000 in September of 2000 in their civil suits against the U.S. government and the FBI and the ATF over wrongful deaths of their family. Idaho's Boundary County, that's the name of the county, Boundary County prosecutor would go on to indict the FBI agent Lon, L-O-N, Horiuchi, H-O-R-I-U-C-H-I, for manslaughter in 1997 before the statute of limitations expired for the death of Vicky. The case was moved to federal court, but underwent a supremacy clause dismissal, was appealed, but later dropped when a new prosecutor took over. This, my friends, is why you should exercise your Second Amendment rights, because this, my friends, are the events leading up to and following the siege at Ruby Ridge with Randy Weaver and his family. And like Joe Smith's childhood hero would say, and now you know the rest of the story. Joe Smith signing out.